So I've been wanting to make this video for a while now. I was originally going to do it during the Overwatch beta a few months back, but I decided I wanted to wait until the game officially came out so I could really get a good sense of the full world that they were presenting. As time's gone on and we've gotten more maps and we've gotten all these animated shorts, I'm really starting to get a good sense for the Overwatch universe. Every time I play Overwatch, I've always thought about what the game could have been. Now this video isn't to take away from what Overwatch is, because I enjoy it for what it is. It's a team-based multiplayer shooter. You get different characters with different abilities and roles, and you try to complete the objective on each map and defeat your opponent. It's a fun game for what it is, but knowing what it came from and knowing what it could have been is something that's always gonna kind of gnaw at the back of my mind. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I am of course referring to Project Titan. Now let's go over a little bit of the history of Project Titan and how I believe it relates to Overwatch, how we know it relates to Overwatch, and what that game, or this game here, Overwatch, could have been. Project Titan was something that there were originally rumors about, I think around 2008. You heard people on message boards talking about Blizzard's working on another MMO. Now, how did these discussions come up? Well, Blizzard's own job posting on their website. They said, hey, looking for talent, looking for artists and engineers and programmers for a new next-gen MMO. So people are talking rumors, what could it be, what could it be? And then here and there you pick up tidbits from people who worked on the game, worked at Blizzard that aren't there anymore, who play tested the game, whatever, that this was going to be an MMO FPS. A sci-fi MMO FPS specifically is what I remember hearing kind of between 2008 and 2012. Those were the rumors. And then it was in the next few years after that you started to hear more and more rumors that, hey, maybe this is the BlizzCon where they officially announce it, they officially talk about it. And then little slip-ups here and there from people who currently work at Blizzard, things coming out that maybe shouldn't. And then they officially came out and talked about it. They said, yes, we are working on another MMO. However, that was shortly followed up with, it's been canceled. Project Titan was its name, it was going to be an MMO, and we've been working on it for 7 years. However, we decided that the game wasn't fun enough, and we decided to cancel it. All the wonder as to what Blizzard could be working on next, what would be their next WoW, so to speak, all that just dashed, gone. And then, sometime later, Overwatch is announced. Overwatch happens to also be a shooter, which was supposedly what Titan was as well. But this is a little different. This is a team-based, multiplayer, competitive shooter. It's not an MMO. Now, something I want to point you guys to is in between that time frame, in between them announcing that they're canceling their secret Project Titan and revealing Overwatch, there was an article posted up on Kotaku. Now, before you jump down my throat, I understand it's Kotaku. Some people hate the site. Some people say you can't trust anything from it. There are some things in there, in this article, that make it seem very valid. So the article is sourcing anonymous people who worked on Blizzard or had played some version of Titan. And what they say this game was is so eerily similar to what Overwatch is, you can't help but think it's true. So I'm gonna give you guys a link to the article, but the general premise is this. Project Titan was a MMO shooter set in a sci-fi futuristic version of the world. The world's been invaded by aliens, and you are basically playing as a superhero who's trying to save the planet from destruction. It is a globe-trotting adventure, so you'd go to various countries and specific locations and do MMO things. You'd kill enemies, you'd level up, you'd collect loot and gear. But then there was also this whole social aspect to the game as well. It was supposedly going to be that this superhero story, kind of like Superman or Spider-Man. By day, you're an average Joe. You're a regular person working a regular job. Maybe you're a cook at a sushi bar. Maybe you're a mechanic. Maybe you're any number of things. But then you get that call, you dip into the phone booth, you change outfits, and dun-dun-dun-dun, you are a scout who can teleport around and is very fast and agile. That sounds kind of like Tracer. Or maybe you're a tank with a big old shield. Or maybe you're a sniper. Maybe you're any sorts of things. You're a fantasy MMO FPS character in this sci-fi futuristic version of the world that's been invaded by aliens, and you are the sole protector to try to save humanity. And then after that article, Overwatch is announced. What is Overwatch? In Overwatch, you play as essentially a superhero in this organization who's there to save the world from a robot invasion that happened. And you know, the current setting of Overwatch is a little bit displaced from that. Time's passed and the Overwatch faction, as it were, has broken apart, and now it's like warring against each other or whatever. But the premise is the same. Overwatch is a globe-trotting shooter that's set in a futuristic version of the world post a calamity, whatever that calamity is. Can you see why it seems pretty easy to connect the dots here? Titan is canceled. An article comes out sourcing anonymous people who worked at Blizzard or played the game, laying out what Titan was supposedly gonna be. Shortly after, Overwatch is revealed, and Overwatch is basically just a multiplayer shooter version of what Titan was supposed to be. It seems as if maybe Overwatch is more or less just a cut down version of Titan. Now, Blizzard will of course never come out and say this, and I'm just hypothesizing. This could be absolutely 100% not even close. But given what's before us, you can see how it's easy to connect the dots, and how it's easy to just think about it. And that's the thing here. Keep in mind, I'm not here trying to point fingers or make accusations or do anything. I'm just talking about things and wondering about things. Because if you know me, you know how much I love MMOs. And you also know how much I happen to love Blizzard. They've made a lot of games that have meant a lot to me, that I've spent a lot of time with, and that I've really, really enjoyed in my childhood or even today. So yeah, I was excited about the idea of them working on another MMO, because the last MMO they made knocked my socks off and took over my life for 6 straight years, and it's still a game that to this day I go back and play and enjoy. So sure, you can't blame me for being excited what could have come next from them. I guess if that's the case, that if I really enjoy their stuff, then I should also simply respect the fact that they canceled Titan for a reason. What was their reason? They said they couldn't make it fun. They couldn't find the fun in the game. Certainly there were aspects of it that they enjoyed. I mean, they spent 7 years working on the thing. Holy crap. And after 7 years working on a project to just not release it because they don't think it's good enough, man, that's something, huh? Just to bite the bullet on that, to not see all that work come to fruition. Would they really do that 100%? Maybe they didn't have to. Maybe they could just take part of what Titan was and what they worked on and release a version of it, an offshoot. Maybe they release, instead of releasing an MMO FPS, a globe-trotting adventure, you're leveling up, you're collecting gear, you've got all your characters, you're doing all this stuff. During the day, you got your mundane jobs. Maybe that's just basically their version of crafting. Maybe instead of releasing all that, they cut it down to the shooting. They cut it down to a few set locations, and they released a team-based first-person shooter. This game's got an amazing world. It's got amazing stories. Have you seen those cinematics that they've released? Awesome stuff. Really, really cool and in-depth, and it feels like the world's maybe a lot more fleshed out than it should be for what's just a multiplayer shooter. Now, maybe that's just Blizzard being that good that I play Overwatch and think, man, this feels like a huge, expansive, fully fleshed out, and well-realized world. Maybe they're just that good. Or maybe, just maybe, this was a fully fleshed out world that they decided they didn't like it 100%, so they just took a part of it. And that's what we get with Overwatch. And once more, not here trying to take away from what Overwatch is. It's a fun game for what it's trying to do, be a multiplayer team-based shooter. It just so happens that my preference is MMOs. And I really, I've talked about this for years, think that the MMO FPS is still an untapped genre. It's still a game that's yet to be done right. We've seen various attempts, all of which have had their own merit. Firefall, I liked for certain reasons. Destiny, I liked for certain reasons. The Division, I liked for certain reasons. But none of those games felt like they were 100% what I feel like the genre could potentially be. And I'm still waiting on that day. And I'm always gonna think, oh man, Titan, why? No. And it's still in the back of my head. I hope that, I really do, I hope that Blizzard is still working on the game in some capacity. And maybe they take Overwatch and they flesh it out more over time and they just build this into an MMO. Maybe none of it happens. Maybe I'm completely off base and everything that I'm wondering about is 100% wrong. But I can't help but wonder. One of my favorite parts of gaming, and the reason I like to always play new games and try new games, is I like mystery. I like going into a new world and exploring it for the first time by myself or with my friends, with other people that I don't know around. I enjoy that process. So this is kind of just a mental version of that sort of excitement and wonder and mystery. Hypothesizing about what this game is or what it could have been or whatever. I enjoy this. This is fun for me. Maybe you guys like it too. What I'd like to know from you guys is, what do you think about any of what we've talked about here today? Do you think there's any basis to Titan basically being a cut down, or Overwatch basically being a cut down version of Titan? I mean, just think about the world of Overwatch and the games that you play and the characters, and think about this just being a multiplayer mode in a huge, expansive MMO, where you also go out with your friends to the various parts of this sci-fi futuristic world, and you defeat enemies and bosses and go through raids and collect gear and level up and progress your character. And you've got the social side of things where you're a cook maybe at a local sushi bar, and that's what you do, and that's your crafting, and you level, you know what I mean? It's just a cool idea. It's a cool thing to think about. I like it. Let me know what you guys think about it as well. All right, guys, that is going to do it for me here today, talking about Titan and Overwatch and their possible connection. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you all have a fantastic afternoon, and until next time, I'll see you later.